Hi, you're watching Brioche Knit Tips. I'm Xandy from Sew I Make Stuff, and in this video, I'm going to show you the brioche 8-stitch increase. A brioche 8-stitch increase looks like this. You can see that we have 1 stitch increasing into 9. So you can see 1 stripe and 5 with 4 dark stitches in between each one. That means that in each of these 2 increases, we are adding 8 stitches. In a pattern, it's going to look like this. But in a chart, you'll see this symbol. It's actually 9 units wide. So when you see it next to other things in a chart, you'll notice that it's wider than each single block. I think that's everything that you need to know to get started. But if you haven't yet tried working a brioche knit yarn over knit increase, a br_KYOK, you can find a video for that in my channel. It's a little bit simpler than this, and it's probably something that you're going to want to try first. Other than that, I think you're ready. Let's get going. I've set up my 2-color brioche stitch swatch, and you can see that I'm working with my light color. I'm on a knit row, and I've worked partially into the row. I suggest that you just follow the beginning of the row as you would in your pattern, because each pattern is slightly different. So the only thing you need to worry about is before you work your increase, you want to end with a slip 1 yarn over. So I'm ready, and I'm ready to knit into this next stitch and wrap. So let's go. In order to do our brioche 8-stitch increase, I'm going to simply knit into this stitch as I normally would, but don't slip it from the left needle. Yarn over. Does this sound familiar from my brioche KYOK video? Because you're doing the same thing. That means that the next step is to knit into this stitch again, but unlike in a brioche KYOK increase, we're going to keep going and not slip this off of the needle until yarn over. We have 4 stitches now, knit into it again, 5 stitches, yarn over, 6 stitches, knit into it again, 7 stitches, yarn over, 8 stitches, that's 8 stitches increased, and then our original stitch, 9 stitches, and on this last one, when we knit into it, we're going to slip it off the needle. So we end up with 9 stitches, increased from 1, that's an increase of 8. Now I'm going to continue on in my row, and I know that Continental looks a little bit different, so I'm going to demo this again using that hand posture. You can see my yarn is now in the opposite hand, and I'm ready to begin my brioche 8-stitch increase into the next stitch. I've just done a slip 1 yarn over. So to begin, knit into the stitch as you normally would, but don't slip it off the left hand needle. Yarn over. We're going to do this knit into it and yarn over. We're going to do that a total of 4 times. So knit into it, yarn over. We now have 4 stitches, knit into it, oops, yarn over. We now have 6 stitches, knit into it, yarn over. We have 8 stitches, and we've done that sequence 4 times. And then for the last, to finish it off, we're going to knit into the stitch again, and this time we're going to slip it off the needle. So that's 2 ways of counting how you get there. And Continental, English, you can see that they look the same. Now I'm going to finish off my row and knit a few more so that you can see what it looks like with some space. Actually, before I speed this up and get a bunch of rows done, I want to show you what the next row after you've created your increases looks like. No matter where you're increasing or what amount of stitches you're increasing, you're always going to have to do some plain purl stitches over your increases instead of brioche purls. So let me show you what that looks like in the context of a row. My next stitch is a brioche purl. That's where I purl and there's a wrap on top of it, but it's worked the same way as you would normally work your purl stitch. Then I'm going to slip one yarn over, brioche purl again, and now I encounter my brioche 8 stitch increase. And you'll see none of these stitches have those signature purl wraps. You know, that's the dark color, where the dark color shows up, over them. So instead of working my brioche purls, I'm going to work plain purls, and you'll see what that looks like here. So I'm actually on a slip one yarn over, and then the next one is a plain purl instead of a brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, plain purl. Slip one yarn over, purl. Slip one yarn over, purl. Slip one yarn over, and now we're back into the brioche purl. Okay? So how does that differ? It doesn't. But it's important to recognize that if you're working in a chart, you're going to see a purl symbol over your increase because you can't actually work a brioche purl into something without the wrap. Does that make sense? Great. Okay, I'm going to continue and then show you what it looks like after a few rows. So you can see I've just finished my row. I've worked up a little bit in my swatch here, and you can see the 2 increases. You can also see that I have had to switch to circular needles in order for all of the stitches to fit. So that might be important when you're increasing, 8 stitches and 8 stitches. That's a lot to add to a row. So you can see here what's really important to notice is that, first of all, our English and Continental increases look the same. Second, we have some holes here. That's where our knitting has actually increased so much that we've had to stretch out a stitch. That's normal. You're going to get these in your work, so don't worry about those. I think the only other thing that's important to notice when you're doing increases is that they're not going to look the same on the front and back. If you take a look at the back, we're going to have some light color peeking through, and our dark color starts above. That's also normal. I hope you got what you wanted out of this video, and that you can now experiment a little bit and try brioche increases of all sizes. Thanks for watching. Follow up with more brioche knit tips in this playlist, or go to my channel for more videos on other knitting techniques and craft videos.